Hey guys, it's Alexandra. Today I'm going to be interviewing a really inspiring woman who survived breast cancer and has been in remission for 4 years. So I thought Breast Cancer Awareness Month would be a great time to bring light to this issue. She's also going to be talking about the tragic loss of her cousin a few years ago and how she took on the guardianship role to her cousin's children. So she's been through a lot in her life. I think she's super strong and I think she can teach you a lot. And I will leave her contact information below if you want to, reach out to her in the future or connect with her on other platforms. I hope you will stay tuned to hear her story and subscribe for more videos. All right, thank you. Came across your TikTok account and I thought it just happened to be like during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I don't know if the algorithm pointed me that direction, but I think your story is super inspiring and what you've been through and the fact that you're still here is amazing. So I would love if you could just start by sharing, your journey with breast cancer.
Okay, so it was November 2015. I was 41 years old at the time, so I had started, the annual mammograms. I did not find a lump, so I was just going for just a routine mammogram, and it actually started in September. I went for the exam, and I wasn't diagnosed till November, and it was because of like different medical, getting the right referrals and things like that. So I had the mammogram, then I had to have an ultrasound, and then the biopsy, which ultimately confirmed that it was breast cancer. And so then I was diagnosed with what's called inflammatory triple negative, and I was at stage 2, and it spread to the lymph nodes already. So the treatment was because it's an aggressive form of breast cancer, we had to start chemo right away. So I had 8 rounds of chemotherapy, and then I opted for just a lumpectomy, which is a partial mastectomy. So I had that, and then I had to have 37 rounds of radiation. And so I finished that in the end of June of 2016. And then that's where I was declared cancer-free. So I've been cancer-free since then.
Hey, that is awesome. Such good
Thank
news.
you.
So I can only imagine what kind of emotions happen when you find out news like that. How did it affect you and, your loved ones?
So I don't know if you found me for the video where I said I had been raising my cousins' children. So
Yeah.
they were 16, 15, and 13 at the time. So they lost their mother. So I was terrified. So how do I tell them that they could lose me as well? And when I told them, they were just in shock. They just kind of walked out the room. Um, and it was tough because I was doing it on my own. And teenage girls, they didn't know how to handle it. We got into a lot of fights because I was going through treatment. I mean, now in hindsight, we can talk about it a little better, and I didn't have a lot of family help. My mother was around. She helped as much as she could, but it was hard trying to go through treatment and deal with teenagers. They had started acting out, like just staying out all night, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I was already seeing a therapist, so that really helped try to get to handle that. But yeah, it was pretty tough. I didn't know what to expect, and because of at that point, the only people I had known with breast cancer had all passed away. So I just thought, like, it was it, And the type of cancer that I had, triple negative, the survival rate is a little less than, so regular breast cancer can be like 90%, and it says maybe 80-70% survival rate. So all of that going through my head, I was just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know with the kids. And the Taria, she's the middle of, there are 3 girls. So she was the middle. And she asked me, was I going to make it to their graduation? So the oldest was a junior, and she was a sophomore. And I told her, I'm going to make it to 3 graduations. I made that promise. I made that commitment when their mother passed, that I was going to see them graduate. So, and I did.
Aw. Very heartwarming. Do you ever feel like because you told yourself that it helped? Do you feel that if you manifest kind of a positive energy? I hear a lot of people that have gone through cancer and come out the other side talk about how when you have that determination in your mind of telling yourself you're going to beat it, do you think that helped you get through?
Absolutely. Mindset does help you. I can't say the whole time that I had it. I actually kind of got to a place where if this was it, then I did everything I could. So I struggled with that a long time, but so kind of both. I had the good attitude, but I was okay with if this was it. You know what I mean? I made peace with that. I did what I could, but it does. Stress isn't good. Stress isn't good. And I had to try to do different things. So I had another family member take the girls for one summer, the summer that I was going through treatment. And because I needed to deal with myself and to come to terms with that. But once they came back, I was already like, okay, we could go on with life. So it wasn't always that, but it definitely makes a difference. And I really try to continue with that positive attitude,
Yeah. So what made you decide to put that out there online?
It started back, I didn't always tell my story, but I get the feedback I get, and I've gotten so much feedback from survivors that are like, oh, I'm so glad you told your story. So when I joined TikTok, I was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, more and more I share my story, and I have so many women who send me messages, and that inspires me to share it. Because I know how I felt then. I searched for someone, I searched age, I searched type, I searched everything because I needed to connect with somebody. And I started going to support groups, breast cancer support groups in the area. But then that started to not be enough, but it really does help to be around someone who understands what
Yeah,
you went through. So
absolutely.
I'm glad that I can be that for somebody else, because I know that's what I needed.
Yeah. And what do you think now, having gone through it, what do you hope people know about the experience who maybe are fortunate enough not to have to experience that, or maybe they will end up experiencing it, but just things that you think are misunderstood about that journey?
Um, I think we all go into it that you're gonna die. You know, I even had my oncologist, tell me, especially with the type, she said it's misunderstood. So it's a lot of information out there. Um, I mean, nobody has magic ball to see what's going to happen, and everybody's outcome is different. But to know that you can get through it, because there are some tough days where you're like, I can't do, I don't want any more treatment, because even with the reoccurrence, I had said, I'm not doing this again, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, my mind is a little different now. I'm gonna keep fighting, but then I was like, I can't do this. So I think just so they know, one, that they're not alone, and that you can get through it.
Yeah. And what is that, just from somebody who I don't know personally, but what is that treatment process like?
So with the chemo, everybody has a different plan, but mine was one of the drugs is called the Red Devil. Because it's red, like it's red, and so I had maybe 4 different types. You can't really, I don't have my port anymore, but you get a port, and this is how they administer it, through the port instead of through your veins, because it can be really tough on your veins. So first you have to have the surgery to put the port in, and the port actually goes from here through in your neck.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had 4 treatments of one type of chemo, and then the second 4, but I actually kind of lucked out. So the first 4 was maybe an hour, 2 hours, and I had the best nurse, oncology nurse, who did. She was funny. We would talk. So you sit in this chair. I lost my hair right away. I actually cut it off after the second treatment, because I couldn't deal with having it come out in clumps. And I know some people were like, oh, you don't know if it was going to come out. Yeah, I was pretty sure. I mean, not everybody's chemo is that they will lose their hair, but my oncologist said I was. So she knew that the chemo I was going to have. So after my first, maybe the first or the second one, I just cut it off. So I thought it was cute ball, but but the second dose, they said it was going to take like 6 hours to administer the chemo. I was like, oh my gosh. But where I said I lucked out is I had an allergic reaction to steroids. So I had to take a steroid before I took that, and it wasn't a bad reaction, but like my glands were swelling. So I just sounded hoarse, like that. So they had permission, and actually that was the generic of the drug. So I had to get special permission from my insurance company to get the name brand, and that took like an hour. I was like, oh, so it was good to have an allergic reaction.
Yeah.
The surgery wasn't too bad. Well, it was kind of funny. It was kind of funny after I had the surgery, because your body retains water. So I was like walking around, and I could hear the water in my breast. I was like, why do I have water swishing around? When people have a full mastectomy, they have tubes to drain, but I didn't. My body just had to absorb it. I think of all the three things, the radiation was probably the worst because you probably can't see it, but I still have kind of scar, because even though it's radiating your breast, it all of this gets radiation, and I didn't know that with your neck. So they tell you to prepare with lotion, and I guess I didn't do a very good job because my neck, and they said sometimes you can burn, you know, the radiation can burn through you, and your back can is horrible. And I ended up getting an infection because my skin was so burned, and probably like they said it's a really bad sunburn. I mean, I mean, most people think that Black people don't have get sunburn, but we do. But I've never had anything that bad. So like peeling skin, and it was very painful, and I had to get special ointment. So I think the chemo was when you didn't want to be sick, but they give you a lot of anti-nausea medicine. But so I think the radiation was the worst. Yeah, it was very uncomfortable.
Well, I'm so glad that you're over that.
Yes, you know, it's weird now because 4 years ago it ended. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I did go through that. You know, you don't think about it after a while, but it was like, oh my gosh, look at my skin. This is horrible. But yeah.
Do you feel like you've grown closer to your cousin's children after that whole experience?
Um, no, it was bad after a while. Now that so the youngest is 19, so the 19 soon to be 22 and 21. Now it's good.
Good.
But no, those last couple of years, because especially, I don't know why I don't know if it's middle child syndrome or whatever. It got ugly. Yeah, she had got so angry at me that she probably don't make me emotional, but she actually wished that I had died from cancer, you know. But and it was just regular disciplinary things, you know, like, oh, you're staying out too late, or you're this. But it's also, you know, they were teenagers. But now that we talk about it a little bit more, and some of it could have been me, I didn't know how to continue to raise them and take care of myself. Mm. And that was the thing about self-care. You hear a lot of people, I mean, everybody was like, oh, you got to take care of yourself. You know, you have to put your mask on before, you know, how they tell you on the plane. You have to put your mask on first. But it's like, well, they're kids. They're still young. They're young adults. I can't just ignore them. You know, so how do you continue to raise kids? So it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough because it got to a point it was just like, as long as you all come home, you're not bleeding, that's all I can do. But it's much better now.
Good.
But it was rough years there.
Can you speak on how you came into the position of basically being their parent?
Yeah, so in if I get emotional, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Because I actually did another video showing them, and when I was doing it, it really brought up a lot of those emotions that I hadn't thought about, because it would actually happen 13 years ago, almost 14 years ago. Their mother was in an attempted carjacking, and like she was a passenger and someone jumped in. I don't know what transpired in between, but he shot and killed her. He didn't even get the car. He had driven off, and he shot her, and the car crashed into some parked cars. And she died by the time they got to the hospital. And so she wasn't married. She was actually a young mother. She was only 24. at the time, and my grandmother was actually, they were living with our grandmother. So my cousin's mother, who's my aunt, she's actually addicted to drugs. So like she couldn't take them. And their father, they have different fathers. Like they weren't not in the picture. So my grandmother, we didn't want them to go into foster care. So me and her, she asked me to be their guardian. I was already helping, and so I was like, okay, so we can, we didn't want them to get split up, and because nobody really wanted to take all three. Mm-hmm. So I did.
Well, between these two experiences that, no one wants to ever have to go through anything like that. How do you think those elements of your life made you stronger or changed you in a positive way?
For a long time, I didn't think I was strong. I just thought I just did what everybody else would do. It wasn't until after I got through it, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I am strong. I was just doing what came natural. But yeah, it wasn't until afterwards. But I don't know. How did it make me strong?
Or how do you view your life differently than you did before?
Oh, my life, literally 2 months before this happened, I was living in New York City. So I was single. I moved back to Chicago. I had a loft apartment downtown. So yeah, then I bought a house in Northwest Indiana. Yeah. I was still single. I'm still single. It changed a lot, going to dance recitals and all that kind of stuff. So it definitely changed it. And honestly, I never wanted to be a parent. It was just, I didn't want to screw up any kids. I thought I would screw them up. But so it definitely changed that. And it made me realize that I did kind of want that family type of thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just didn't. So it gave me that part that I didn't think I wanted. I had a lot of proud moments. The oldest actually is a mother now. So like seeing her kids be born, that really touched me. So yeah, so all of those experiences, would I have rather been traveling the world? But those are things I didn't think I ever wanted. Mm-hmm. That, and I don't regret any of it. Like I said, I was really proud to see them do and accomplish the things, especially two of them in college. I'll brag about them. Yeah, they're in college. Yeah. You want to see her baby? So yeah, so thinking back then, though I never thought I was going to get married, I was never going to have kids, was never going to do any of those things. So yeah, this was very different than what happened.
And after, surviving something like cancer, do you think you treat life any differently now as opposed to before you got diagnosed? Now that you've come through, do you think you value your day-to-day life more than you did before?
Definitely, because it was a lot of things. I was like, oh, well, oh, I can wait or do it then, or, I've got years, and it's different. It's so hard because I work for the government, and government mentality is like retirement. It's so hard for me to think about that. That's like, at this point, 15 years from now. So I don't want to wait to have experiences until I retire. So the year that after I finished treatment, I went to Australia for a month. I'm thankful that my mother agreed to stay with them for a month, but I would have never stayed away for a month. Like, oh my gosh, they had this, they had, who's gonna do homecoming? Who's gonna do this? But that's not everybody's day to day. But opportunities, I just can't let them slip by. I don't want to let them slip by because I may never get another chance. And now look, but the world we live in now with COVID, if I had pushed so many things off, I would have never had a chance.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I also found myself before all this happened wanting to have more connections, even with friends. Like, oh, let's go to paint parties. Let's go to do these things. They all still have younger kids, so I always thought, oh, they don't want to do anything with me because stuff like that, because now that the kids are out. But I wish I had done that more. I didn't always do things for myself. It was just about them. I don't know how I could have balanced it, but I felt that that's how I needed to be. I needed to just focus on them and not on myself.
Yeah.
So after, cancer, it was like, oh, we need to do more dinner things. They'll be okay.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad. Yes, those things are probably a lot more valuable than you think they are once you realize that you could have lost those opportunities. So I think, you're being very humble as far as saying that you don't see yourself as strong, or it's hard. You were doing what you just thought came naturally. But I hope that you read a lot of your comments, and I hope that you will one day be able to accept how truly strong you are. I think anybody who's gone through that kind of stuff and can still sit here with a smile on their face takes an immense amount of strength. So I really, really think you need to give yourself more credit, because I know life throws things at you, and it is hard. I think it is hard to, when you go through cancer, it's probably hard to understand why you would be strong when really you're just getting through it. So I do see that. I do, I see that, but I think the attitude seems like it's very influential, and you seem to still be fighting every day, whether it's cancer or your kids or just anything else. I think just having that attitude of, I'm going to keep going, not everybody has that. So I think that gives you a lot of strength.
Thank you. And you read those comments, I was blown away. I didn't expect it at all. And yeah, it really blows me away. And you're right, I don't. I am changing my attitude from comments like that, and then I realized it. But you're right. There's some sayings like when I was strong because I didn't have any other choice. So it was like, what was I gonna do but go to the treatment? I could tell them no, but
yeah.
But thank you. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah, good. Well, I think this is a good point to be at least, because with Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I think it's so important for more women and just people in general to hear stories like this, because sometimes it feels like to me you don't really hear about it unless it's like a celebrity that has breast cancer, and then you're like, everybody's paying so much attention to it. But there's so many women out there that have gone through what you've gone through, and I think to hear that it can get better and you can still be happy is super important. So I'm very thankful that you talked to me today, and I'm thankful that you are open enough to put yourself out there online too, because I think you really are helping a lot of people.
Thank you. I hope so. That's what I want to do,
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. It was really nice meeting you, and I'm really inspired by you, and I hope that you keep putting your message out there.
I will. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care.